In this episode 75 of The Daily Hustle, we talk about the characteristics of self-made millionaires, the habits that they have to help them become and stay millionaires. Also, we talk about Canadian senators.
Broadcasting from the box that rocks and Thrive15.com world headquarters, it's The Daily Hustle with Daniel McKenna.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into episode 75. 75, Marshall, 75 of The Daily Hustle Show. 75 is a lot.
We've done 75 episodes.
Well, we've done 74. This is the 75th one.
No, I'm speaking it into.
You're speaking it into existence.
Right.
Okay. Over there on my left side is Marshall F. Wheezy Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. Episode 75. This is the 10 characteristics of the self-made millionaire. Marshall, once you get into business for yourself, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, there's usually two reasons. One, you want to control how much money you make and you want to make more money. And two, you want to control your own schedule and maybe have some more time freedom.
Well, wow.
Did I miss that? Is there anything you think I missed out on? Are those like kind of the big two?
Those are the big two.
Those are the big two.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also, there's probably hundreds of little reasons why maybe you'd get into business for yourself.
You want to do your own taxes.
You want to do your own taxes. Maybe your passion is, I just really want to handle my own taxes. I want to handle my own withdrawals.
I want to file taxes for my business.
I want to get my employees health insurance.
Yeah.
My employees I don't have, I want to get them and then I give them health insurance.
Maybe you want to deal with hiring and firing people.
Maybe you want to deal with the possibility of, failing in business and not having any money.
Maybe you want employees to sue you.
Those are all reasons you could want to get into business.
Yeah. Maybe you want to pay unemployment tax.
Maybe
you want to pay Social Security and welfare taxes so people can get free cell phones.
I've got a feeling that the people that are watching this or listening to this episode did not think that this episode was going to go in this direction. I got to think that this went totally different. We're talking about the characteristics of a self-made millionaire, and now we're talking about all the reasons why you wouldn't want to be a business owner.
Oh, well, some people want to do those things.
Oh, yeah, well, that's right. That's right. Some people do want to do that.
Yeah, but most people do not.
But for the majority of you that maybe want to either make more money or maybe want to control your own schedule, have some time freedom, being a millionaire is kind of like the status thing, right? Like that's the goal. If you don't have a specific goal, you're like $1 million just because it's a big round number, right?
Yeah.
So this book, we're talking about the book The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley and others. We're talking about the characteristics of the self-made millionaire. They went through and studied, I don't remember how many millionaires, but the whole book is the study of millionaires, what their characteristics are, what they did, and kind of who these people are. And the reason we're talking about that is because if you want to be a millionaire, these are probably good things for you to also model your behavior after. Would you concur?
Yeah, I was just say if you want to be successful, do what successful people do.
This is episode 75, Marshall.
Okay.
So I've got some knowledge about 75 for you.
Educate me.
This is Marshall's favorite part of the episode. Did you know 75 is the age limit for Canadian senators? Can't be a 76-year-old Canadian senator.
I did not know that.
Senator. I felt like I was saying that weird. Did you know the 75 is a common name for a French World War I gun? The Canon did 75 model 1897. So you went over to France and you were like, I'm looking for a World War I 75. They would know what you're talking about.
I think at the time it probably wouldn't have been a World War I 75.
No, I'm saying if you went there now.
Oh, okay. I would venture to say nobody would know what that means.
Did you know 75 is the number of balls in a standard game of bingo in the United States? There's 75 of them.
I know that.
Okay, well, there's some highly useful and just good knowledge for you to know about the number 75.
Thank you.
Let's get into this here, Marshall. Again, this is from the book The Millionaire Next Door. Marshall and I are not millionaires yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But the reason we're bringing this up is because we've worked with several millionaires. And in the process, we want to get better at these sort of things too. So let's dive into these here, Marshall.
Yes.
Number 1, 3 out of 4 are self-employed and consider themselves to be entrepreneurs. Most of the others are self-employed professionals such as doctors and accountants. Marshall, in your mind, why are most millionaires self-employed? Why is it so hard for non-self-employed people to become millionaires?
I wouldn't say it's hard for non-self-employed people to become millionaires. I just don't think that the correlation exists there. I would say that the behaviors that go along with being self-employed and being able to create a higher ceiling, an income ceiling for yourself, those are what are correlated. So I wouldn't say it's any harder or more difficult to do so. I would just say that you find the consistent traits, all these characteristics, they go hand in hand with being self-employed and having that flexibility and having that freedom, rather than with those that are non-self-employed. Okay,
so you feel like it's more of an attitude thing than anything else?
I think it's more of an attitude thing, and I think they're consistent. I think I see correlation, not causation there, because there are people that are employed by somebody, and they still have that hunger to learn, that growth mindset. They consistently want to get better. They want to get to the next level. They want to move up the corporate ladder, and they want to be a manager. They want to be a leader within the company. And those are the people that you see that end up becoming millionaires, is they have all these practices. And so I would actually say that those people are intrapreneurs. They are operating within a company with entrepreneurial values. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the behavioral traits and the characteristics go hand in hand. So I wouldn't say it's more difficult if you're working in a job, but you got to still apply these characteristics. And I think you see more of these characteristics with self-employed people.
So if you want to become a millionaire, to you it doesn't matter if you're self-employed or not self-employed.
That's right.
Okay. That's not what the stats say, but it's an interesting take. Interesting take. I like it. That was number 1. 3 out of 4 are self-employed, consider themselves to be entrepreneurs. I'm gonna go the other way. I think it's because I think there's part of it. One is the people that are not self-employed probably don't care as much as the people that are self-employed. They value the safety and security more than the top level prize. I think that there's very few professions in which you become a millionaire in the United States, that being an employee, like your skill level has to be so high. Maybe it's a doctor, maybe it's a professional athlete, maybe it's a professional musician, and that you have to be a top percentage, like your skill in that industry has to be so high for you to become a millionaire. Or you just live well below your means, you save a lot of money, you invest a lot of money, and 30, 40 years from now you become a millionaire because of the compound interest. So I think those are the reasons why most of the time, 3 out of 4 times, it's self-employed people that are millionaires as opposed to not self-employed people.
I think you made my point.
Okay. All right. That's characteristic number 1. How about characteristic number 2 here? Characteristic number 2. On average, the total annual realized income is less than 7% of their wealth, of millionaires' wealth. In other words, they live on less than 7% of their wealth. Is it on average for millionaires live on less than 7% of the money available to them? What's your take on this here, Marshall?
Well, I think it's definitely, if you're not a millionaire, I think this is true among those millionaires that exist today, that they are millionaires and then they can live on 7% of their wealth. But like, if you're trying to become a millionaire, there's nothing wrong in trying to live on only 7% of your wealth. But the fact of the matter is you're going to have taxes, okay? And you're going to have rent, and you're going to have any other of those like standard monthly expenses. If you have a home, you got to pay a mortgage, and you got to, do these different things. You got to buy groceries, and if you can do that on 7%, I think that is incredible. But the important thing is that they are living on the lowest amount possible, and they are investing everything else. They are saving everything else, and they are saving an incredible amount of money because of the compound interest, the time value of money. So investing, yes, I would definitely say, and getting into the habit of saving is so crucial. You can look up all the different statistics of the time value of money. You can do the different calculators. If you invest this much for every month for the rest of time, how will the interest rates affect you? The compound interest rates affect you. It's really, really quite amazing. But I would say absolutely the most successful people, I 100% agree. You see them live on the least amount possible and then invest and save everything else.
So live on the least amount possible.
Yep.
Of the if you have $100 coming in, you got $1,000 coming in, you got $10,000 coming in. They're living on the least amount of possible instead of spending the most amount of money possible, and they're saving and investing the rest.
And this is where people get it wrong. Is just because you make more money, they feel like, well, my expenses go up exponentially if I make more money. And that's not true. You have monthly hard costs. That's what they are hard costs. Just because you make more money doesn't mean you need more food on a monthly basis. Just because you make more money doesn't mean you have to move into a nicer home. Just because you make more money, the amount of the number of gallons of milk that you buy for your family doesn't go up. Okay? So it's important to realize that just because you make more money doesn't mean all of your hard costs of living go up. So, yeah, I'm passionate about that.
Okay. I like it. I like that's good. Okay, that was number 2. Number 3 here. Number 3, characteristic number 3 of the Millionaire Next Door. Most, 97%, are homeowners living in homes currently valued at an average of $320,000. About half have occupied the same home for more than 20 years. So there's a couple things here in play. Average of $320,000. That's a nice house. But it's not what you'd expect from a millionaire. $320,000 is a nice house, but that's not millionaire house, right? Like millionaire house, you think, well, maybe $500,000, right? You got a mortgage, you're paying that thing down month over month. They're saying $320,000 on average, and about half have occupied the same home for more than 20 years. I mean, $320,000 in New York is not going to get you a big house. In LA is not going to get you a big house. In big cities, not going to get you a big house. This is on average. And they've lived there for more than 2 decades. What do you read into this here, Marshall? What do you get from this?
Well, a home and land are long-term investments in that, depending on how you take care of the home, will appreciate over time, or the land will appreciate over time. Because the cost of living goes up, you got inflation going on, you got all these different things that play into a long-term investment, okay? And so as you're tending to the home and you're taking care of the home and you're improving upon the home, because it is a long-term investment, because you are staying put, you're not paying all the taxes and the fees of moving every couple of years, therefore you get to save and reinvest more money into a long-term investment rather than spending it on change. So find what you need to be sustainable, and then the millionaires are operating this sustainable strategy, operating a sustainable schedule and lifestyle that can serve them for many years, many decades.
It also sounds like they got into the house at a price they could afford, and then as their revenue, their income kept going up and up and up and up, they were like, nah, I'm cool, I'm staying in this house.
Yeah.
Even though at that point they could afford a much bigger house, fancier house, they're saying 97% of them, or I'm sorry, about half of them, have occupied the same home for more than 20 years. So is some of this like, you have to think long-term for a lot of these things? You got to be thinking long-term as opposed to day-to-day, week to week, month to month, even year to year. You're thinking like, I might be here for 20 years. Is that part of it?
Yeah. Do I want to give up things now? Do I want to give up luxuries now? Do I want to give up? What sacrifices do I need to make now in order to live a lifestyle of riches? What am I comfortable with making sacrifices in order to achieve greater in the long run? And so when I'm willing to make the short-term sacrifices, I can exchange the short-term sacrifices for long-term successes. It's a weird deal.
That's kind of what it's all about, right?
Yeah, it's counterintuitive, but if you have the discipline to do it, it pays off.
Characteristic number 4 here, Marshall, and here's a big one. Characteristic number 4. Most did not inherit their wealth. About 80% of them are first-generation affluent, meaning they didn't start with a ton of money. Their parents weren't super rich, but all of a sudden, for some reason, they are super rich. They've got money. What does this stat suggest?
It suggests that it's really hard to. I'm sure that there is a statistical definition for what affluent means, but it means not wanting, for money, wanting for food, wanting for shelter, wanting for these things. And what it says is 80% are first generation affluent. Now, this is largely in part, in my opinion, because that is what is driving them. The sense of poverty and the reality of poverty and the drive to never reach that point again in their lives is what's catalyzing them out of the poverty-stricken point in their life. And so they need to get out of that rut, get out of that place, that status, that means of living, that standard of living, and they just never want to go back there. But when you don't know what that low is that other people have experienced, then you don't really know. When you have those safeguards in place, then you really don't know. There's not that drive. There's not that thing catalyzing you. You don't feel that poverty chasing you on a daily basis because you have those safeguards to catch you when you fall.
So you feel like the other thing to potentially think about here too is, and it might be because you've experienced the other side, and so that's not what you want. But it's saying 80% of the people that have money didn't start with money, which makes it seem like there's a lot of people out there that probably started with no money and probably could make money if they, wanted to and followed some of these principles and created the business or created their skill high enough in a certain capacity to get paid for their time. It's possible. Would you agree?
I would agree.
You would agree?
It's possible.
Is this the first time we've agreed so far?
Maybe.
Okay, 80% are first generation affluent, which, by the way, affluent, having a great deal of money or wealthy.
That's right.
That also used to mean, archaic definition, flowing freely or in great quantity of water. So I think it means something different now. Okay, that was characteristic number 4. Characteristic number 5. They live well below their means. They wear inexpensive suits and drive American-made cars. Only a minority of them drive current model year automobiles. Only a minority of them ever lease their motor vehicles. Marshall, if you looked on, on websites, on Instagram, on, the people that have money, they're showing they've got money. They're on private jets. They're driving Ferraris, driving Lambos. Characteristic number 5 is saying the majority of self-made millionaires wear inexpensive suits and drive older cars. What are they talking about here?
They're saying that if you want to reach millionaire status and remain at millionaire status, you cannot spend all of your money. You cannot spend all of your millions. So in order to become a millionaire, you got to have $1 million. And if you want to remain a millionaire, you can't spend $1 million.
Oh.
Then you will be a millionaire for a certain point of time, but not forever. So if you want if you have $1 million and you spend $500,000 on a car, then now you're half a millionaire.
Oh. Half a millionaire.
Yeah.
Would you introduce yourself that way at like cocktail parties? Hello, I'm Marshall F. Wheezy Morris. I'm a half a millionaire.
I'm a half millionaire. I think that's a cool brand.
I mean, it's a unique brand for sure.
Yeah. It's not quite as cool as a millionaire.
Do you think people all the time would be like, well, then where's your other half?
Say, it's sitting outside in the parking lot.
Sitting outside on them 22s.
Wow. 22s.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, there was a time period where putting 22s on your ride was everything. Like, that was what it was all about.
Wow.
Putting dubs on it.
I think I have like 16s.
Okay, so characteristic number 5, they will live well below their means. They're millionaires, but they would also like to stay millionaires.
That's right.
Okay. That was characteristic number 5. That's all for this episode here. We could fly through these last 5, but we wouldn't be giving them service, We wouldn't be giving them enough time to breathe here. So that's going to be all for episode 75. We'll come back in episode 76 for the final 5 characteristics here. Any thoughts for the people at home for episode 75 here, Marshall, of these first 5 characteristics, or anything that you just on your heart, you just really want to talk about?
Live below your means. If you want to have money, spend less money than you make. Very simple. Wealth is spending less money than you make.
Well, and even if your goal isn't to stockpile millions, then at least you have money for the times in life when things don't go according to plan.
And we'll get into that in the next episode.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we won't.
Maybe, but maybe we will.
But also maybe we won't.
That was episode 75 of The Daily Hustle. We're on the road here to 100 here, buddy. Over there on my left, Marshall F. Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. We'll see you next time. Kaboom.